According to a new statewide poll conducted by Magellan Strategies, 45% of voters believe Governor Jared Polis and the Democratic-controlled legislature went too far this year's session. However, 47% of voters don't actually want to recall Polis or any state lawmakers either. 38% said that they would support a recall, and 15% said they were unsure. Patty, Magellan Strategies is used by a lot of Republicans. It's known as a conservative polling firm. So taking all these with a grain of salt, it still looks like a pretty bad news for folks who are looking for recalls. But what do you think?
Well, if 45% think they went too far, that means 55% don't think they went too far, and that's the more significant thing. I think the fact that Polis is polling as well as he is right now, the fact that people aren't screaming in the street shows he's doing pretty well in his first 100 days as governor, or the first 6 months now as governor. The recall movement would be really tough for the governor, even if Polis weren't polling as well as he is. Just the number of signatures really, really hard. And the two legislators that have so far been targeted are just not the right people to target. It is not going to be like 2013 all over again. It is not shooting fish in a barrel. If I can use a CSU inappropriate comment.
Very good. The CSU word police will be there on hold.
In 2013, of course, guns was one of the big issues, just as it is again.
David, do you think that this is going to serve as a warning or a helpful analysis or anything helpful for the folks who are on the various competing recall efforts for Governor Polis and the other recall efforts that are currently within the Republican Party?
No, I think there's a quixotic element to this and a feeling of we got to do something. You know, as John Belushi said in Animal House, this is something that really calls for a large, stupid, futile gesture. It is interesting that 26% of Democrats think the legislature went too far last session. Polis's approval rating is a plus 12, 49% approve, 37% don't. And on the question of are things in Colorado on the right track, 44% said yes and 41% said no. That's reminds me of Trump in the sense that that's a pretty narrow split on right track, wrong track, compared to taking into account how well the economy is doing.
Mm-hmm. And your wife, State Senator Brittany Pettersen, is involved in one of these recall efforts. So when you and she saw these different results, what did both of you think?
Well, she's certainly not involved in them by choice. This is her vanquished opponent from 2016, Nancy Pelosi, trying to have a do-over of a race that Brittany beat her by 19 points during. So we thought that was pretty strange. Brittany also won the Senate race by 16 points just 6 months ago, or 8 months ago, I guess. So yeah, I mean, this isn't surprising to us. There's no enthusiasm for these recalls. In fact, the opposite is true. A few weeks ago, they kicked off some canvases for the Colorado Way of Life group that's helping fight these recalls, and there were about 100 people that showed up to a parking lot in around the corner from where we live in Lakewood to go knock doors for Brittany. These people wouldn't have been going around Lakewood talking about how great Senator Pettersen is if there weren't this recall up. Indeed, we found the one recaller sitting at a table all by herself outside of a church in the wrong district, trying to collect signatures to recall my wife. So we don't think there's any brain surgeons doing the recall work here, and we're pretty confident that the community supports her, and she's going to continue to serve and do everything she said she was going to do, which is all she did last session.
Natasha, the folks that are at least looking to recall Governor Polis are already facing an enormous task, and I think it's something around, it's over 600,000 signatures they would need to get by September 6th, if I'm in the ballpark. I got to believe that they've already seen an editorial from the Denver Post saying to the public, don't sign these recall efforts, and now this is public. A difficult task just became even more difficult. Do you think there's any sign of surrender, or will it truly just be tilting at windmills until the 6th of September?
Oh, that's a long time from now. So, but it is a lot of signatures to collect. So it really depends on their interest in pursuing this, and they have every right to continue to pursue it, and people have every right to sign or not to sign that petition. I think one of the interesting things that I noticed in that poll, and just sort of looking forward to what it tells us, is the influence of unaffiliated voters. Now, anyone who's followed politics in Colorado for a long time has known the unaffiliated vote continues to grow, but they're actually factoring a bigger turnout for those voters. So what's interesting as I look at those poll results and sort of look towards 2020 and beyond is that this issue of where people stand in Colorado and what we can assume based on their party affiliation or not in this case continues to be very much up in the air and will continue to make our politics interesting, whether these recall petitions go through or not.